Welcome to Boss Level, a podcast where we feature conversations with guests who have leveled up, bringing an XP boost to the table. Today, our guest is StoryModeBae, who started her Twitch career back in 2018, just when she was a year away from graduating college. And now she is a Twitch ambassador, overall badass, and just amazing content creator. And I am your host, Milady Confetti, and I'm also with Hey Shady Lady.
Hi there, everyone. How are you doing?
Yes. So, StoryModeBae, if you wanted to just start out introducing yourself and kind of tell us your username origin story.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. What an intro. I don't even know how to follow up. Hi, everyone. I am Bree, otherwise known as StoryModeBae. Yeah, I am a Twitch ambassador, partner, host. I'm just out here, trying to live my best video game fantasy in these streets. Where I got my name from, I guess when my journey began, and I was like, I don't know if I necessarily want to put my real name out in the universe just yet. So I was trying to come up with a username that really fit me. And it was actually my husband that helped me make StoryModeBae. I love playing story-based games. First person narrative games are really, that's where I like to shine. And Bae, I like to think I'm a Bae sometimes. So StoryModeBae. And that's pretty much it.
It's true.
It's really dope.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Well, how do people normally call you? Because I'm Hey Shady Lady, so I'll get Shady or Lady. Do people just call you Story? Do they call you Bae?
Yeah, like I kind of get everything. I think the most popular one is SMB because StoryModeBae is kind of a long name tongue twister sometimes. So sometimes it's SMB, sometimes it's Story, sometimes it's Bree, which is a nickname of my real name, Brianna. So it just kind of varies. Just don't call me anything out of my name. I would appreciate that. But everything else I'm cool with.
SMB, you're the industry standard, like the Shure SM7B. Sorry. Okay.
I remember somebody was trying to abbreviate my name to MC, and I was like, please do not put that out into the universe, because then I'll be expected to drop like a mixtape or something. So please do not speak that into the universe.
Right.
So you mentioned first person narrative games. What are some of your favorite games you've played?
Oh, I have a lot. I think the first one that comes to mind is Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I remember very vividly. It's weird because I love that game so much, but I've never finished it. But I remember very vividly being maybe in fourth grade, fifth grade, and going down to the local video rental store and renting the game because you could as a kid, even though it had, this game is M rated for mature. You could just go down and rent it. And I remember bringing that game home and my parents saw me playing and they were like, what is this? What are we doing? I was grounded. I couldn't go to the preteen social that night. Like I remember very vividly, but it was also the first game that I've ever played where I saw such a predominantly Black cast, and I was like, oh, what is this? So San Andreas for me, it always has a soft place in my heart. I would also say Mafia 3 is another one of my favorite games. What Remains of Edith Finch. What else? Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yes.
I have a couple that I kind of go back and forth with.
Oh my goodness, sorry, I just burped. Please edit that out too. Oh, it's sweet potatoes and kale. Oh my gosh.
Ooh, sounds dope.
So what got you started on your path? Like what made you want to become, getting into streaming and then hosting, and what started your journey?
Man, well, I've been playing video games since I was a kid. My parents got me my very first PlayStation 1, and the first game that I ever owned on my own was Crash Bandicoot 2, Neo Cortex Strikes Back. So yeah, I've really been playing video games since the 90s, and I think it was maybe 2016, 17-ish. While I was playing games in my spare time, I'm not the greatest gamer. As much as I love playing video games, I'm lost. I'm confused like all the time. So
Same.
I would like all the time, just don't know what I'm doing. I'm just here for a good time. And I remember going on YouTube and to get out of a certain level or area, I would look up people's walkthroughs, how I could get out of that area. And the more that I started watching those let's plays and walkthroughs, I was like, huh, this is kind of something. I feel like I'm kind of funny sometimes. I love playing video games. Like maybe I could try this out and do it too. So in 2017, I started on YouTube and I was just recording videos on my PlayStation 4. I didn't have a camera because I was very against like putting myself on display for the masses in that way. So I didn't have a camera for I feel like the first 6 months that I started. And yeah, I started uploading and they weren't the greatest quality, but I was uploading and I was
Period.
really,
Yeah.
and I was
It's
really
the hardest
happy.
part.
Oh my God. No, I really hated editing. I still think I don't really love editing. And so for those first 6 months of being on YouTube, people were slowly starting to find me and they were like, hey, you should check out Twitch. I'm like, Twitch? What is Twitch? I don't know what that is. And finally, I started my Twitch channel in January of 2018. And from the moment I did that first stream, I think I played Grand Theft Auto 5. I loved it. I loved it even more so because once I was done with my stream, that was it. I didn't have to edit, no thumbnails, nothing. Like it's done with.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and I think it just kind of took off from there. I love being able to talk to people in real time and actually have people coming in and chatting in that way. The way I was doing it before on YouTube, it's like you have to wait for a comment to pop up after the fact. And I don't know, it's something about that live time interaction. I just really love it. So yeah, it just kind of took off from there. I became a Twitch partner in 2019 on my birthday. And it was February 2020 where I decided to quit my serving job. And I said, okay, I want to be a full-time streamer and let's see what happens with it. And it was also that same month I was offered to host a show for the first time on Twitch. It was called This Is Dope, and it started during Black History Month, and it was to highlight Black content creators on the Twitch platform. So I would basically, do an interview with them on their channel while they were playing a game and, just kind of really pick their brain and also highlight them as well, like something that was put on front page and really showing them some love and some shine as they deserve. And from Black History Month, it went into Women's History Month, and we did, a couple more episodes of that. And yeah, that kind of really started my hosting career. So it kind of just fell into my lap. And when I first started, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't want to mess up, but it ended up going really, really well.
You have such a super entertaining personality. You're like super great at engagement and just bantering and keeping people interested. And is this before streaming? Did you have any kind of like, I guess, entertainment? Were you a theater major or anything like that? Did you do any kind of like entertainment stuff?
No.
Wow.
Yeah, not at all. I think the beauty
Were you like
about
the class clown or like the
no
life of the party kind of thing? Wow.
No.
Okay.
It's weird for me because I tell like my community, like I'm outgoing to a certain extent, but I think in person, like it takes me a while to like warm up. But I think with streaming, it's like my happy medium because this is always who I am and I'm always able to be myself on stream, but I'm also in the comforts of my home too. So I can really be comfortable in both aspects. And yeah, I think this is always who I've been, but because of the jobs that I've worked, like from serving or like from teaching, it's like I've had to kind of dim that a little bit. I've had to code switch a lot and I've had to kind of pull that back a little bit. So like for my friends and my family who like know me outside of streaming, they're like, oh, that's Brianna. Like she always does this. But yeah, like I'm able to really, really hone into that and be myself and create an entire brand off of who I am. So that's always really cool.
Were you partnered in you were like partnered at TwitchCon, right?
No, I
No?
was
Okay.
partnered 2 weeks before 2 or 3 weeks before TwitchCon, but they partnered me on my birthday. So I was streaming already, but like all the Twitch staff came into my
Yeah.
stream
Oh
and
my gosh.
I did an
Aw.
ugly cry. I don't even want to see the clip. It was ugly. Like my chin was all shriveled up. But yeah, that's how I got partnered.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I did the same thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh my goodness. So one thing, so you said like when you started your hosting it, what was it called again?
This is dope.
This is dope.
Mhm.
So how did something like that prepare you for hosting something like the Olympics for NBC? Because
Man.
that when I tell you, like, so you said like ugly cry, like when you announced that, I was ugly crying for you because I'm like, there is a Black girl hosting the Olympics. And then my mom called me. She was like, did you know that there's a Twitch streamer hosting the Olympics? Who is it? I was like, oh my God, the StoryModeBae. Like, let me tell you, like, so like, what was that experience like? And how did like your journey prepare you for that?
Hosting the Olympics was the most fulfilling, but I think hardest thing that I've ever done thus far in my career. It was something that I knew months ahead of time, but because of COVID and everything going on, it was just so uncertain.
Right.
The type of person I am, I don't like to hype myself up for anything unless it's like I know it's for certain and I know it's going to happen. So I just didn't tell anyone. I was like, oh, they're talking about it, but maybe it's not really going to happen.
Right.
I didn't believe it until I was at the airport, but yeah,
At the airport.
I was like, man, they're gonna send me back home. But yeah, it was wild to say the least. It was my first time being out of the country by myself. Hosting it was throughout the entire Olympics. So it was hosting for 15 days straight in a different country. No breaks, like that's it. It's just me out there trying to figure it out. I got sick twice while I was out there.
Wow.
The heat is no joke. I thought like a good old Georgia heat was hot. No, the heat in Tokyo is like something else.
It's a different level.
It's a different level. But yeah, it was really hard on me mentally, but by the end of it, I felt so fulfilled and so proud of myself because I was like, oh my God, I didn't know I had this in me. And there were just so many amazing people too, like supporting me from the Twitch staff, from my community, from the other hosts that were also hosting, the different parts of the Olympics. It was very, very fulfilling. But to answer your question, I guess to prepare me for that moment, I'm very much a Virgo and I'm very much a perfectionist. And that's not always a great thing for me because I get in my head a lot. And I think I become my own like biggest critic and biggest enemy because I'm just like, they want me to do this thing, but I don't think I can do it. And so I just really had to own it. And it comes to a point where it's like, okay, you're here for a reason. They asked you for a reason. Let's show out and let's deliver and let's do this. So it's a lot of, I guess, silencing that inner voice that sometimes tries to talk me out of it in my head and just like, okay, if we're going to do it, let's do it. So I guess it finally got to that moment and it's like, okay, I did that. Even now, it doesn't feel real. Like I did that. Like
you did that.
Sure. Yeah.
I think that's very relatable, even, not to the level of like, hosting the Olympics, but self-doubt and like, and being your own worst critic. I am severely guilty of that. And then it's like, when the moment comes, it's just like, okay, I've cried for about a day and a half. Let's just put on makeup and do it. And then it turns out good.
Yeah. That's the thing. And then you get to the end of it. It's like, what was I crying about? What was I doing all that for?
It was fine.
Yeah,
it's really easy to fall into the inner critic and just kind of super derail yourself. I think like it could lead into a lot of self-sabotage as well, psyching yourself out. And you've grown super rapidly. So you started streaming in 2018. You were partnered a year later or so, hosted the Olympics, all this other stuff. And you're a rapid rising star in the Twitch sphere and even branching out into like mainstream media, which is not easy to do for the little gamer sphere.
Yeah.
How have you managed such a rapid growth rate and especially like under so much public eye so quickly?
I don't know.
Valid.
No. Like I was saying, like about the Olympics, like, or I really sometimes have to pinch myself because a lot of it doesn't feel real. And it's just like, what's going on? But then there's a part of me that realizes, okay, everything happens for a reason. And I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be. I feel like the things that I've gone through throughout my life that have led me to this moment. Okay, this is where I need to be, and let's own it and let's make it make sense. I feel like for me, just trying to manage it and stay sane. I've been meditating a lot. I've been doing a whole lot of meditation, a lot of yoga. Like 5 years ago, I was like, you just sit there in silence. But no, like now I have to do it like every morning. It helps me a lot. And I think one of the biggest things that keeps me kind of grounded is just having such an amazing support system. My husband's amazing. Friends outside of the streaming space are really, really helpful because I don't want to talk about stream all day, every day.
Yes.
And then like really good friends that I've made from Twitch as well. And, you know, they're honest with me. And I'm like, okay, what did that sound like? Like, am I coming off? And they were like, yeah, you kind of sounded like, you know, but really being honest with me and not gassing me up and not telling me yes, yes, yes to everything or telling me everything I want to hear. Like really having people that will be honest with me in that way and that will keep me grounded and humble. And I just feel like that's so helpful for me.
Yeah. That's why I really liked serving. I worked at a coffee shop, but it was like a waitress job at the same time. And so it's like I was on stream with like an audience and then I would go wash other people's dishes. So it like kept me, it felt like it kept me balanced and down to earth a little bit, feet on the ground. Because it's really easy to lose yourself to the internet ego and all of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
My mom is that person for me. She she grounds me a lot because it's just like, you know, sometimes sometimes I can't catch myself getting caught up in a lot of things. Right. And it's not even something I'm like publicly saying, like my mind is just there. And she's just like, I need you to disconnect from twitch.tv.
Yes. Aww. Yes. Absolutely.
She'll just say that right to my face. She's like, I need you to disconnect.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you here? Are you with me?
Are you right here though? Yeah. It becomes that for me as well, because it's like, I really don't like social media. I did at one point before it became my career, but now like having to be on there all the time, it stresses me out. And so I try to just like disconnect from social media, which is easier said than done. Yes. but I really try to stay off Twitter for like a day or two, or, you know, just sometimes I need those days just to go off the grid and just like kind of be by myself and in that moment and not posting everything that I'm doing. And just, you know, just kind of being still and kind of being quiet. Because it's again so easy to get wrapped up in everything, especially with social media. It's so easy to get wrapped up in the, okay, well, who's getting dragged today? Okay, well, let me put my 2 cents in, and it just becomes like a snowball and a domino effect. So I try to step away as much as I possibly can.
Yeah. I do notice like when you are on social media, because I have disconnected. So Twitter comes off my phone Friday night when I'm done with work and stuff like that. And then it goes back on Monday. And did I put it back on today? Well, it's supposed to be today.
What a great way to establish boundaries.
Smart. Yeah, I like
that. So like, I know this weekend, I know I was traveling and I was in, you know, doing something with The Legend of Zelda, but one thing that when you do go on social media that I notice, especially like as, you know, a Black woman, when we're going between like Black History Month to Women's History Month and like that intersectionality is when you have something to say, you say it, and then you're like, all right, I'll see y'all next week.
Let me go ahead and mute that. I'm out. Yeah, like I think I've definitely gone through the journey of what I want my voice to be on social media to a certain extent. I feel like maybe a couple years ago, I was much more vocal and, you know, really getting angry at some of the things, because there's so many things to be angry about. But also with social media, there's a key audience that thrives off of like that negativity and like all that drama and like chaos all the time. And I know you both know this, there's that audience that thrives off of that and will only engage with you when you have some mess or some BS to share on the timeline, right? But
You
when I'm
better
posting
speak.
about my other stuff, oh, it's crickets. So I'm like, you
Yeah.
know what? I'm not gonna give y'all too much of that. So I'm trying to be more so if I have something on social media to say, it's like I want it to be impactful. I want it to be meaningful, but I'm not going to do any more, engagement going back and forth with like strangers on the internet. Well, why is Black History Month? I'm not. We're past
Right.
that. I'm not doing
It's
that with y'all no more.
when you first get started on like social media as a career, like I remember the great booby streamer debate was a big thing that like the first
You mean
year,
the one that happens every week?
Every
literally,
week,
this is the thing
every
though, is
week.
like when I first started streaming, I was really triggered by that topic and angry
Mhm.
and like wanted to argue with
Yeah.
everyone, make my big statements. And after maybe the third or fourth cycle I saw it go through over a year, 2 years, I just like, oh my God, this is just a repeating record. And like this is such a drain of my energy. And it doesn't matter how
Yes.
many times I yell about this, y'all are still gonna do it. So
Exactly.
I'm gonna focus on what makes me feel better instead of arguing with dumbasses. Like
Yeah. No, I agree. I feel like social media definitely does have benefits, but there's like that negative side of social media too. And for me to be streaming since 2018, I personally still feel like I'm like a baby in the game. Like I know a lot has happened, but like 4 years, that's like a kindergartner, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so over time, yeah, you keep seeing like this cycle of just like repeating topics over and over and over again. It's like, how many times can I engage in this before it drains me of my sanity? And I feel like for a lot of those topics, it's like, okay, I can't do it anymore. It's exhausting.
Team protect your energy.
Exactly. That's like literally my favorite motto of all time. Protect your energy. I'm very much about that because you have to. It's wild out here.
Yeah. Some great advice I've gotten recently was to live in a state of control instead of a state of reaction, which is,
I like that.
It shifted my brain around because I live in a state of reaction as a streamer. That's our job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I think like with these like repeating topics or whatever, and instead of seeing that tweet pop up where then suddenly I go on a rant, it's like, let me come at this from a space of control or, calm mind, and then I can actually put my thoughts together in a way that's going to be received better too, because I'm not just angry reacting or it doesn't even necessarily have to be an angry reacting, but reaction always puts you in a state of not being able to be as your best version of yourself,
Yeah, for sure. I like that a lot, and it's very true too, because like if it's like a very heavy topic like Black History Month, for example, it's like I see what's going on and I'm upset about it, but how can I construct it? How can I construct this tweet in a way that's impactful and that makes sense? And it's not just like me, firing off at everyone. So yeah, I like that a lot.
So I know that, and when you were explaining your journey, of kind of like how you were, you said you were a waitress and then you turned, gaming into streaming. And then there was a moment where you said, you quit your job and you went full time. So what was the thing, or what was the conversation with yourself that you said, I'm going to bet on myself, take this risk and do it?
Oh, it was many conversations. Wow. Okay. So when I started in 2018, I was serving tables at a restaurant and I was also in college too. And then in 2019, I went into school to be a teacher for the education field. And in 2019, I was doing my student teaching, but that's also the time for me when streaming kind of started ramping up. And I'm like, okay, I really like doing this. I was like looking forward to leaving school so I could go stream.
And bless that balance with student teaching, because I know that's intense with any program.
My schedule was so nasty. Like I couldn't even I was like during the week, I was student teaching from 8 to 3. I would come home, I would take a quick little lunch break or whatever. I would stream for 2 hours. Then after that 2 hours, I would eat dinner, set up my lesson plans or whatever for the next day, go to sleep, repeat, do that Monday through Friday. Then on Saturdays and Sundays, I would go to my restaurant job.
Oh my gosh. Never a moment to just breathe.
Ever.
Wow.
Ever. But I love streaming though. And even though I was exhausted, I was like, oh, there's something about this. Like I could just be myself and I'm having so much fun with it. And so once I finally graduated in June of 2019, I was like, I'm kind of looking for teaching jobs for the next school year, but nothing's really hidden. Do I want to be a sub? I don't, I don't know. I love the concept of education. I love working with students, but everything else that a teacher has to go through, more power to them, because some of the stuff I saw, it's like, y'all need to pay more. Like, this is ridiculous. And so anyway, so I was looking for a teaching job that summer and nothing was really sticking. So I was like, you know what? I know I have this degree, but it's something about streaming that keeps pulling me in. And I think I kind of want to explore that. And for a minute, I was talking myself out of it because I'm like, streaming, like streaming is kind of still a new thing. Content creation is kind of still a new thing. Even when I tell my family what I do, they're like, you play video games, and people just so I was kind of talking myself out of it and saying like, other people are doing it, but like me, like I don't know if I'll be able to like really do anything with it. But I told my husband, I said, I just need a year just to figure it out. It's something about streaming that's like really calling my name. And he's like, okay, take that year and let's see what we could do. So a couple months later, I got partnered on Twitch, and I was still like streaming, and it got to the point where a couple months after that, I was able to quit my job. And I said, you know what? I know I don't want to be in this restaurant anymore. So let's just, I have some money saved up. Let's just jump in and go all the way with it. And a month later, the pandemic happened. And then my old coworker texted me and said, everyone's been laid off. And I was like, oh, okay. So we're really doing this. There's no turning back. But streaming ramped up even more when the pandemic hit or when it first started. And I've just been kind of rolling on that ball ever since.
Yeah.
It's like
I was an educator. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's kind of like a bittersweet kind of timeline, the way everything happened. With the pandemic starting when it did, because if I was teaching during that time, I would have been laid off too. It's a strange little timeline.
Very serendipitous. Yeah.
I was in higher ed as well. Well, I was in higher ed, so college students. And then when my department closed because of COVID, so everybody was gone, I was still streaming part-time at them, but then it was like, it went to full-time. It kind of got back into a corner, but my friend explained it. She was like, I think it happened for a reason.
Yeah. So such a make or break moment for so many people. Yeah.
You hear so many stories about how people's, careers that they've made on their own have really taken off since the pandemic started, because it's like you are forced to kind of sit there and it's like, okay, I can't go to work anymore. What can I do to sustain? But it's also becoming like, what can I do to make money? But also, what am I passionate about? What can I turn that into as a career? So that part's cool.
I'd love to keep picking your brain about that. So let's take a moment for a short ad break. And when we come back, we're going to dig in a little bit further. Okay, welcome back, everybody. So I'd love to dive in a little bit more with you about kind of career building and especially being your own boss. This is the Boss Level podcast. Did you imagine yourself becoming an entrepreneur in this way, your own boss, and how has your trajectory changed over time? I know that you were in higher education. What were you planning on being? How did that transform into what you're doing now? And is there any advice you would give someone along the way? Like you've mentioned a lot about self-doubt and kind of maybe psyching yourself out of it a little bit. Is there any kind of advice you could give to people who may need just that little nudge to go for it?
Okay, let's see. Well, yes, I was supposed to be a teacher. So since I was in 5th grade, shout out to Mrs. Clark. She was my 5th grade teacher. And I was like, yes, like I want to be a teacher. Like she's inspired me so much. And like, this is what I want to do. But I think being a kid and kind of planning out my life in that way and then getting older and my interests change kind of messed me up a little bit because it got to a point where it was like, do I still want to be a teacher? But I've come all this way and I have all this student debt. Like, yeah, like I gotta finish strong at this point. But yeah, like my interests changed. And I think with becoming my own boss, like, no, I definitely didn't expect it. And it was a lot that I kind of had to sort out within myself. I was so used to answering to people and doing what someone else wanted me to do, where when I finally came into this career path, it was like, well, am I doing this right? Am I supposed to be posted right now? And it was like that kind of self-doubt where it's like, no, like this is you, go forth and do it. So that was kind of hard for me to adjust to. But I will say I do like being my own boss, and I think it's really cool. Sorry, what was the other question?
How would you give someone a little nudge if they're teetering on the edge?
I would say it's not easy. It's far from easy. I think for sure there's this idea of like streaming is just pressing go live and all the money starts rolling in, and then you make partner and then you get the sponsorships coming in. And no, like it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of focus that you have to have. Also, what I've learned, especially since the pandemic started, you have to be tuned within yourself, and you kind of have to be aware of your own mental health and your own boundaries and your own burnout that 9 times out of 10 you're probably going to experience, and how you kind of get out of those ruts. I think with streaming, a lot of it is that hustle mentality. Like I gotta get up and I gotta go get it. And I gotta stream 8 hours because this is what I want to. And no, it comes to a point where you have to take a step back, and it's like, okay, how can I make this work, but also make sure that I'm not burning, myself to the ground either. So I would say my advice would be understand that it is hard work. It's not always easy, and it might not work out the way that you want it to work out, or it might take a really long time to do so. But also, you never know until you do take that risk and really bet on yourself. So know that it is hard, but it could happen. But you got to take that risk and see.
Got to risk it for the biscuit.
You do. You do. And also with that, if you're going to do that, please save your money. I hate seeing people like take that risk and not have their coins saved up. And it's like, okay, well, I'm just going to go full time and I'm going to do it. But they haven't like made sure that they protected themselves and saved money, because as we know, streaming is inconsistent oftentimes. And, you might have a really, really good month, and then the months after that aren't so great months. So please save your money before you take that jump.
Yes. What are some like of your favorite moments from your career so far?
Honestly, for sure, like I've been fortunate and blessed enough to do some really, really cool things. Some of the shows that I've hosted, like for Live Nation and the Olympics and different events and things like that. But I think ultimately it would be hard for me to pin down one moment, because honestly, I'm just so grateful that my community, shout out to the Bae Brigade, I'm just so honored that they rock with me and that they really like hold me down and support me. I'm so appreciative that they've been with me every step of the way. I think the cool thing about streaming too is when you start to build a community and start to have people come in, like-minded people that really vibe with each other and become like an extended family, that really makes it all worth it, because it feels like I'm not doing all of these things alone and I'm taking the community on this journey with me. So I don't know. I love them or whatever. They're petty, but I love them. Like those are my people.
So those are some of your favorite moments. Have you dealt with any kind of failures that you think are good learning points, or what are some failures from your career that you kind of look back on and be like, okay, this taught me this good lesson?
I like that, because I do feel like every thing that happens that doesn't work out in your favor for sure is a teachable moment. I think one of the biggest ones that really sticks out to me is the first time I applied for partner. As we know, trying to make partner on Twitch is not easy. And I remember applying for the first time, and I don't know what the reason was, but I was rejected, and it messed with me. Like, it kind of messed with my mind more than I thought it would. And I was like, what? Like, I've been stressing, I've been like streaming X amount of hours, and I have like the 75 viewership. Like, I don't understand. And it also reached the point where I started getting wrapped up into numbers, and I never want that to be like my reason why I do this. And I feel like, you get so stuck on trying to get 75 people for every stream, where, the 60 or 65 people that are coming in, it's like you still have to understand these people are showing up for you regardless of what number that you're hitting. So, it became the point where it's like, I'm not going to get tied up on numbers anymore. I know a lot of this industry is so like numbers based, and it tries to value your worth and who you are based on the numbers that you have. And I feel like that's so
it sucks.
It really sucks now. I'm going through that now. It sucks.
Yeah, it sucks. And it messes with you. And it's like, I don't want to do that anymore. So after that first time that I didn't get approved for partner, I turned off my numbers, and then I ended up making partner. And from that day forward, I was like, I'm not going to focus on numbers. I think, don't get me wrong, it's still cool when I hit a certain number on one of these platforms or something, like, oh, that's cool, I have, X amount of followers, but I try not to make it a goal for anything anymore, just because I remember how much it kind of ate at me when I didn't get that. So I try not to really do that anymore.
You're
oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, you're super innovative with the kind of content you do. Just glancing over your Twitch streams, they're always something I've never seen before. I don't know. I feel like you're very much a thought leader in that way, and kind of like groundbreaking. Definitely like owning that word influencer.
Thank you.
Where do you come up with some of your content ideas, and how is it you decide what to bring to your stream, or how to interact with your community?
I don't know. I feel like with my stream, or I guess like what I present on stream, is just very much me. Like, I've changed my streaming setup now. Like, before I was just using the green screen. But then we found a little space in my house, and I was like, okay, maybe I could make this little corner my own. But I was like, how do I want to decorate it? Like, yeah, I love video games, but I also really love the culture too. Like, how can I incorporate that? So I'm like, you know what? Let me get some albums, and
I see albums. Also, like, those are really cool.
Thank you. I'm like, you know what? Let's put some albums on the wall. So like this, for example, is like 15 of my favorite albums of all time, which was super
Space Jam soundtrack.
Yes. Which was super hard for me to narrow down, but it's also becoming like a really cool conversation piece as well, because people are finding it. They're like, oh, you got the Space Jam up there? Let's talk about it. But yeah, I'm very much a nostalgic 90s and 2000s junkie. Like, I love talking about all my favorite things from my childhood. And remember Napster, and remember when we had to use the internet, and somebody was on the phone.
Thought life was hard.
Yeah.
You do that a lot on TikTok too.
I do. Yeah. TikTok's kind of funny too, because for a long time I was like, I'm not getting on TikTok. Like, I'm not dancing. I don't know what to do with it. But once you like finally figure out like how to make the sounds and videos your own, it's like, okay, I can do this. And I feel like people can relate to that. And then also with stream too, I have a lot of like sound effects and sound commands as sub perks. But the majority of them come from like memes or different parts of the culture. And, someone can use that sound and they know like exactly what that means and how it can relate to that moment in stream. And it also gives the community a different way to express themselves without only typing in the chat. It's like, no, they could really let their voice be heard in that way. So yeah, I don't know. I guess with stream, I try to create an environment that I would like to be in if I was viewing my content. Like sometimes, like I'll go back and I'll watch my VODs. I'm like, oh, that was a good joke. Like I am just so funny sometimes. But like you have to hype yourself up because like you sometimes you just gotta be your own biggest fan, especially when you first start streaming and there's no one there and you just have to talk about X, Y, and Z by yourself. So it's also important just to keep that and just make content that you're proud of and content that you would want to enjoy too.
What's some of the best advice you've gotten from a mentor or somebody you look up to?
A lot. I feel like some of the best advice is when you're first when you first start streaming, for sure, start small. Don't go out and buy the best lighting and the best camera and the best equipment and all that. You really have to start small and figure out if streaming is something that you'd like to do in the first place. I feel like there's often times where someone goes out and they say, oh, I need a mixer and I need this and I need that. And then a month later, they're like, oh, yeah, I don't really like this. And now I have like all this stuff in my house. And what do I do with it? So for sure, start small. You can very well stream off of your console. I feel like it's free as long as you have a console, but yeah, you can stream off of your console. You don't need to have the best microphone, the best, all that stuff. And I also feel like, it's tried and it's true and it's might be corny, but be yourself ultimately. I feel like it's much easier for you to be yourself on stream rather than put on a persona and try to please other people. And then there could very well be a moment in time where you don't want to be that persona anymore. And then what? Because that's what your community is coming for. And that's what you've introduced them to. So I just feel like it's easier just to be yourself. And that also goes into not being a people pleaser and doing what you want. There is no way to please everyone that views your content. And there's no way to make everyone happy. Ultimately, you just have to do you and make it work.
I think you set a great example for that. You're living by what you speak. That's awesome.
I'm trying. Thank you.
So you have anything coming up that you would like to share with the audience or things that you can share?
Things that I can share. Yeah. So like I was saying, I just get very nervous about stuff. I like to make sure I'm really there before I put it out in the universe. But I do want to try my hands at vlogging. I am going to some cool events pretty soon. And I think it would be cool to kind of capture my content in that way. So it's hard. Like you have to like experimenting or be comfortable experimenting as a content creator. But yeah, there's always that part where it's like, I don't know how this is going to be received. So yeah, I'm going to put myself out there and try to make a vlog. And I also have some really cool merch coming soon that I have been working on for months. And I am so excited for people to see it. So that's what I'll share so far. But yeah.
That's exciting.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm very excited about it.
Okay, well, would you like to let everyone know where they can find you on social media?
For sure. I am StoryModeBae on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere. But yeah, I usually stream Monday through Thursday, 3 p.m. ish. I'm always late. But yeah, come hang out with me in the Bae Brigade. Yeah, come hang.
Also, the vibes are immaculate. So yes, go hang.
Thank you. Just be talking. Thank you. Oh man, this was fun. Thank you for having me.
We're so happy to have you here. This has been such a good conversation.
I agree. I'm even learning so much too. So I was like,
thank you. Thank you.
You're very uplifting and comforting to talk to. So
thank you.
But yeah, thank you everyone so much for listening. If you would like to join the conversation further, definitely jump in our Discord. And yeah, Milady Confetti, do you have anything cool coming up you want to let everyone know about?
planning a cosplay.
Oh,
I'm always doing that. But this one in particular is like very out of my comfort zone. So I'm nervous, but I'm excited about it.
I'm excited.
Yeah, so that's pretty much the only thing I can share.
Okay.
Other rings, I'm,
Come
those,
on, NDA.
those
That's
NDAs.
right.
And you're just Milady Confetti across everything, right?
I am Milady Confetti everywhere.
Awesome.
So please find me and follow me.
And then I'm Hey Shady Lady across everything. The main exciting thing I have coming up is I'm starting a really fun Stardew co-op farm tonight with one of my friends, and we just spent the last all weekend modding it to be really fantasy style. So I'm this little like moth girl with like antenna, and they've got like 9 tails and a fox nest. Like it's this whole fantasy pastel dream world Stardew, and we're gonna be doing that once a week until we finish the farm. So I've never done a long-term collab like this, so I'm actually really excited.
That's dope.
To try something like this.
Really cool. I'm excited for you. Yes.
But yeah, I guess that's going to wrap the episode up for us. Thank you everyone so much for listening. And thank you again so much, Bree, for your time and energy today. It's been a wonderful conversation.
Yes. Again, thank you so much for having me. You both are so amazing. I'm so proud of you both. Like, I'm just here. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you everyone so much. I hope you have a good week, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay.